All right, hey, back at it. Tom here with Personality in Mind. So in our last video, we briefly touched upon the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the critical factor, and what areas of your life each side kind of controls, right? So if you haven't seen that video, make sure to check that one out first. This video is just going to build on that one, and then we're just going to take it a step further here, right? So first thing I want to explain is the conscious mind. It's the one that you use to think with. Typically people say it will rationalize, but I want to say that the conscious mind actually tells rational lies. Because remember, our philosophy on this channel is all thoughts start as feelings, right? That then become thoughts. And to top it off, we all have personalities. So we're going to keep building away at the structure and how to change it, right? So the conscious mind speaks in words. It's rational. It's logical. So what happens is you have feelings in your body, then they go up, they cross the critical factor, and then it gets turned into words, and then you speak those words. Now, the problem is whatever you speak, it is the rational lie version of the real thing that's actually happening with you. Because once again, most self-help typically targets the wrong areas of your life. Now, not always, because obviously if you want to change your environment, you need to do stuff. And there's a lot of good stuff out there. But what I'm talking about specifically is why you're not doing the things that you want to do, and why you don't stop doing the things you don't, or that you don't want to do, right? And so once again, thoughts start as feelings, then they cross that critical factor, they become words. So the conscious mind, what it does is it generalizes, deletes, distorts everything. That's why we have these feelings, we have these bad habits, and then we go and we do them, and we have these rational reasons of to why we do them. And then there's other things that we want to do, but we're stopped by something, right? And then we don't do them, and then we come up with these rational reasons as to why we're not doing it. Fair enough? So now the subconscious mind, its language is completely different. It's not linear, and it's not logical, it's not rational. The subconscious mind speaks in senses. So pictures, sounds, feelings, smell, and taste. That's the real version of whatever is going on in your life, or your mind, I should say. And so we experience these things, we turn them into words. That's why you could have a problem or something you want to do, something holding you back maybe, and you could verbalize it. You could be extremely clear about it. You can know all there is to know about it, and nothing changes. And it's because you're trying to change it at the verbal, logical, rational, plausible level. But like I said, the identity and the beliefs that we have are not held in the rational side of our mind. We may have rational arguments as to why we have these beliefs or why we think we are the way we are, but the real reason is not rational. And now we're going to explain the structure of that. Well, first, the critical factor. How do you bypass that in order to get the change that you actually want to change, to believe different things and to view yourself the way you really want to view yourself? Because, for instance, if you have a belief that money doesn't really matter, or that I am bad with money, then it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what you're capable of, it doesn't matter your environment. You're always going to fulfill your beliefs and who you think you are. So how do you change your beliefs? How do you change who you think you are? You want to bypass the critical factor. Now, in the last video, I kind of made a joke that one way you could bypass it is you could get drunk, right? Now that's a terrible way to do it, but I'll explain why that works. It's actually not because of the alcohol, right? The real way that you want to do it, it's actually pretty easy. It's absorption and focus. That's how you get that to go away. And I can explain it to you like this. When you go to see a movie, You're using your conscious mind. You walk in, you buy your ticket, you find the theater, you sit down, you could actually fill the seat, you got your popcorn or whatever, and then you're watching the movie, you see the credits, you are thinking different things, but then before you know it, your conscious mind has been critical long enough, it realizes there's no harm around, it can kind of just let go, and now you become absorbed in the movie. You're no longer like in the real world, you're completely one with what's going on. The same thing with anybody that plays an instrument. If you consciously try to play something or consciously try to pull forth all of your skill, you're only going to get so far. But once you become absorbed and focused in what you're doing, a lot of things just naturally pour out, things from the unconscious mind, right? And so, one thing that I want to try with you now is to give you an example of the language of the unconscious and how quickly you can bypass the critical factor and change your thoughts, right? So all I want you to do, whether you do it with your eyes open or closed, totally fine, either way, just think of a dog, just a dog. Could be any dog, and once you got it, good. Now here's what I want you to notice. Some of you imagined a picture of a dog. You saw a dog in your mind. Maybe that picture was still. Maybe it was more like a movie, sort of. Maybe it was in color. Maybe it was in black and white. Maybe it was a big picture close to you. Maybe it was far away. Maybe there were sounds. Maybe there were smells. Maybe there were feelings. Maybe there were tastes. However that showed up in your mind, that is the structure of how your unconscious mind structures the thought of dog. Okay? And now another one that you could do is you could picture a beautiful meadow on a sunny day. I want you to picture that in your head. Okay? And now all I want you to do is, as you're looking at that in your mind's eye, now imagine circus music playing while you're looking at it. And notice if the image begins to change. Notice if your feelings about that meadow in your mind begin to change. Okay? Now you could get rid of that music and maybe play the theme song of Jaws, right? Now maybe that meadow becomes dim, a little bit scary. Something else is going on. And see, we didn't change the content of our thought at all while doing that. We changed the structure, we changed the volume, we changed the picture, we changed the colors, the brightness, and all of that changed our feelings and how we literally viewed the meadow or the dog. So however you view yourself, however you view the things around you, however you view your beliefs, right? They're all going to show up in that way. So we'll try one more just to give you a little fun experiment here. Think about the last time that you felt absolutely incredible, right? It could be fun, it could be confident, motivated, whatever feeling you super like. Go ahead and just remember the last time you felt that way. And notice that there's a picture around you that represents that feeling. Notice where it's at, and all I want you to do is reach out and touch that picture. Grab it on both sides and make it bigger and pull it closer. And notice, do the feelings get stronger? Do they get more real? Same thing, push that picture away and make it smaller. And notice, do the feelings kind of go away? And all I want you to do is take a moment, play around with that, and get that picture to wherever the feelings show up stronger for you, to where that image shows up in a way that propels you, that makes you feel like as good as you possibly can, right? And notice that we're not changing the content of our thoughts. We're simply changing the structure, right? So now a little thought experiment, now that you know how to do that, consider if you could change the structure of how you represent a dog in your mind or a meadow, imagine what it might be like to represent yourself and the things you believe. Okay? And so with that said, that's one thing I really want to focus on here, is that's why you could know your problem, you could turn it into words, and you could explain it, and nobody else can actually pluck that problem out of your life. Because the problem, or vice versa, because once again, the conscious mind is deleting, distorting, and generalizing what your true feelings are and sensations and impulses and reactions and habits, right? So if you've got a bad habit, I can guarantee it's a way to solve a feeling that you don't like. And I can also guarantee that you can rationalize that bad habit and make it make sense, even if deep down you know it doesn't make sense to have. So the same thing can be said for any other belief or anything else about you. You could represent it in a way that empowers you. So for anybody out there watching this that feels like, oh, I'm a loser no matter what I do, well, take a moment and try to notice the picture that represents that feeling, right? And move it to where it gives you something more powerful and propels you to the way that you truly want to be. Because I can guarantee if you really think you're a loser and I tell you to think of yourself as a winner, you're going to have a completely different picture of you being a winner, and it's probably going to be in a space around you, or the color or the lighting or the sound is going to be very diminished, and it's not going to be compelling, where the image of you being a loser is super compelling, right? So the opposite can be true too. You could have such a strong belief about yourself that anybody can say anything to you, and you just feel like a winner no matter what, because of how you represent the thought of yourself within your mind, right? So keep in mind, the subconscious talks to the conscious mind through the critical factor, and it gets distorted, deleted, generalized, and then it is turned into a rational lie. And that's why, or that's how rather, to change the parts of yourself that self-help truly can't touch. Because once again, you need real help, you need real structural change. And that's kind of what I want to leave you with now, is take a moment and really think about where around you you store your images of different things in your life. Notice the good things in your life and how they show up as far as color and sound and distance and size. And notice things that are less than positive and notice how they show up. Consider where and how you structure something that you believe to be true versus something that you believe to be like laughable, right? So once again, guys, my name's Tom, and this is Personality in Mind. I'll see you in the next one.